start recording here. There we go. So again, as I was saying, I realize a number of you have other uh, requirements. You know, you have maybe family obligations to take care of younger siblings or elderly family members. Maybe you have work schedules. Some of you have doctor, dentist, whatever appointments. So if you can't make a class session, there are a number of different things you can do. Number one, you can come to one of our different class sessions. I teach government third and fourth bell as well. So if you don't have a class third or fourth bell, or you have a free time because maybe that class doesn't have an online meeting scheduled, you can come into a class that I team teach with Mr. Ficker in the morning. Okay. So you can easily hop in. It's the same information. We go over the same things because we would normally team teach this anyway. So if the third or fourth bell time slot works better for you just in general, you can ask for that Zoom code for that meeting and just get it out of the way before our lunch break occurs. That's one option. Two, Mr. Ficker has a sixth bell of this exact same coursework that you could attend instead if for whatever reason you can't make the fifth bell time period and you don't have a sixth bell class. You can hop into that sixth bell time slot if you so choose. And of course the third one is, as I just mentioned, I am videotaping it, or videotaping, showing my age there. I am recording this and then we'll post via YouTube. So if you at any point miss one, you can certainly make up for it using the links. Now, I would appreciate that if you are going to miss, let's say you have a work conflict or you have a family issue, or let's say you're just not feeling all that well and, staring at a computer screen just isn't going to work for you that day. If you could shoot me just a quick email like, hey, sorry, I won't be making it today, but I will catch the video. That's fine. It's just kind of letting me know to excuse the absence because these are going to build throughout the second semester and it will have impacts on whether or not you can skip the exam at the end. It will have an impact about whether or not we're taking participation grades. And in many cases, if it's not going to be counted towards your actual grade, the reason I take attendance is I use it for, hey, let's say you're kind of borderline on a grade, you're going to get the extra credit points to bump you up because you're taking the time and effort to be here. You should at least get some of the benefits of doing that. So please make sure that you, try and show a little bit of responsibility. You already have, many of you, by showing up, by being on time, by logging in. But if you can't be here, at least reach out and show me the responsibility that you would, hey, I can't make it today. Here's the reason, but I'll, here's how I'm going to make up the time or whatever else. So again, just kind of, as long as we kind of hold each other accountable, we'll be fine. Today, all I have to do is make sure that you're aware of where we're headed and kind of put a cap on the first semester and kick off the second here. So the first semester is done. The last grade of the first semester, at least second quarter, I should say, was the immigration video assignment. That's done. We put a cap on it. We're done with new assignments. You did, of course, have a midterm. You could either do a project, which a few of you did, or the actual midterm exam, which a number of you did as well. So if you're one of the people in the meeting right now that have not completed their midterm, your first semester grade cannot be processed properly. You're going to be missing 1/9 of your overall grade. That will have to be a 0 if you don't complete it. So if you're one of the people that I reached out via email to kind of remind, hey, you've got a midterm you got to complete, that needs to happen today. So as soon as you get off this, that needs to be the next thing you do, okay, is to get that midterm assignment done and turned in. If you have any missing assignments for the second quarter, they're still open, but you're really pushing the envelope because I have to turn in grades very soon. So if you don't reach out to me through email and say, hey, which of these assignments can I still do and how long do I have to complete them, then I'm just going to assume that you're taking the grade that you currently have and moving forward. So again, that is kind of a expectation that you'll be kind of accountable and you'll be responsible enough to reach out when you have those questions or concerns. So please make sure that you do that or hang back when I dismiss you. Again, I'm going to try and get through the material fairly quickly to get you onto your sixth bell with plenty of time. That being said, the first semester is done. Now we're picking up the second semester. Second semester, we are starting off with the executive branch, which is perfect timing because today is inauguration day. Okay. Literally just past noon here, which means the Joe Biden presidency has officially begun. He has taken the oath of office. And at noon today, he became the 46th president of the United States. So the 4 years of the Trump administration is now completed. He did kind of throw in one last second pardon from Florida, but he is officially done as the United States president. Joe Biden has now taken over. So I'll kind of go over that here in a bit. I want to make sure that you understand exactly what your assignments are moving forward, because let's be honest, many of you, that's what you kind of came in for, if you will. So today I'm going to share the screen real quick. All right, so on your Google Classroom page here, you'll notice this morning I put classwork under the assignments 120, which is today, to 126, which is next Tuesday. That's another switch, of course. Prior to this, it was every week. Now, because we're meeting every Wednesday, we're going to make these assignments due prior to the next Zoom meeting, because obviously we're going to be doing something within the Zoom conference that has to do with those assignments. Now, you have 3 different assignments that were put together by Mr. Ficker and Ms. J, who is his student teacher. They put together a number of different assignments. The first assignment here has a Google site. And if you go to that Google site, it has all the information necessary with which to complete the assignments. And of course, you have a Google Doc assignment here. That is your biggest assignment. So for those of you that kind of sparse out, all right, when can I get these assignments done? The first assignment you should do is assignment 1. It is worth the most points. So please get on that. And plus it's got the information that's going to help you do the other assignments as well. So this executive branch questionnaire here, you need to kind of complete that utilizing this Google site right here. Assignment 2, the roles of the the president crossword puzzle. There are 2 assignments here, technically, two links, if you will. This one is the actual crossword, the roles of the president. That's the crossword puzzle. What Ms. J would like you to do is when you complete this assignment here, that you take a screenshot of it and you put it into this blank Google Doc right here. So it's not like it's 2 different assignments, just one where you're transferring your screenshot over to this Google Doc. And again, all you have to do is just print your screen, as it were, and then paste it into this Google Doc to turn in. Okay, that's your second assignment. The third assignment has to do with a video, and the third assignment is quite simple. Now, we haven't really done this. This is more of a Ficker and Ms. J assignment, but I found that they had great success on this. And as we start moving towards the possibility of an air test and end of course exams, we need to kind of be more aware of what we're maybe falling short on. This advanced government video right here that they put together is going through all the topics that we've gone through recently and kind of reintroducing some of the topics that we were noticing from a lot of the review, weekly review that they had put out. And then there's this weekly review assignment right here. What they would like you to do is watch the YouTube video and then also look at assignments 1 and 2 here and kind of let us know collectively, what are you still kind of stuck on? What do you maybe have questions on when it comes to immigration, Congress, or now we've added in the presidency? What are some areas where you're kind of saying, you know what, I really don't get this concept? Or tell us as well, hey, I feel like I'm pretty solid on the following things as well. So it's really just a review guide. It's a quick and easy grade where you're just kind of checking in and telling us what you've got. You don't need us to go over. We don't need to remediate on, or what, hey, there are some areas of glaring problems where maybe the teachers haven't disseminated enough information on, or we haven't been clear. So this is just a weekly checklist. We'll use these from time to time. So I'm just asking that you fill that out. That is a quick and easy participation grade. So this week, again, assignment 1's the big assignment. That's the one you should probably start on right now. Assignment 2 is just a crossword puzzle. And if you've done the Google site and you've kind of watched the videos we've asked you to watch, then that should be a very easy assignment to complete. And then this one is just a culminating activity, just kind of a participation grade style thing where you're just telling us, hey, here are some areas of concern we have moving forward that we can handle in future Zoom calls or with future assignments to make sure that we're covering those areas and getting you ready for those end of course exams. Okay. And they also put on here a screenshot of a weekly checklist that helps you to understand which assignments you need to do and when. Okay, so what I've just gone over, it's right there in a screenshot as well underneath those weekly assignments. So all of that is taken care of on Google Classroom. That's what you're kicking off the second semester with. And this is a blank slate. Now, you are my fifth bell class. You all did phenomenal in my first semester. The first semester, you guys, my hat is off to all of you. You did a phenomenal job of adapting where a lot of people would have given up. And a lot of people in my other classes have given up. So you're doing a great job making sure that you are getting your credit. I think I only had a few people that fell short of getting credit in the first semester. I think it was maybe 3, of which in this class I have 28 people registered. That is way better than my third and fourth bells when it comes to getting work, accomplished. And most of you weren't even close to even flirting with disaster. So I do appreciate the hard work and effort, and many of you for reaching out when you were struggling about when assignments were due or when you could get things done or if you could have an extension. For my 3 that fell short, check your grades and see if there's something you can do to put yourself in the ballpark of actually getting your credit for the first semester. It's not done yet. I have to enter the grades in by the end of the week. You certainly are at the last minute, but if you reach out, maybe we can come up with a plan moving forward so that you're not put into credit recovery in the future. Just kind of throwing it out there because, credit recovery is on the computer as well. So, the excuse of, well, I don't do well with this online learning, that's what credit recovery is too. So you might as well get the credit while you got it. Either way, regardless of what your first semester was like, you're starting off brand spanking new with a second semester within this course and a brand spanking unit when it comes to the executive branch. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing. And here's the thing when it comes to the executive branch, it's a big day in the executive branch. Obviously, we are transitioning between 2 separate presidential administrations. So Donald Trump made the decision that he was not going to attend the inaugural today. And the inaugural looks very different than what it has in the past. The inauguration is going to look different for a number of different reasons. Number one, obviously, with Trump not showing up, that's going to be a little different. That's a change from the norm. But this is not the first time the president has not attended the inauguration of their successor. This is now the 4th time in American history that has happened. Now, that does not necessarily mean that it's normal since it's the 4th. It's been over 150 years since it's happened. The first 2 times were the Adams family, John Adams and John Quincy Adams. John Adams did not attend Thomas Jefferson's inaugural, and John Quincy Adams did not attend Andrew Jackson. Now, they did not attend those because they kind of felt like there was a transition of power that was a little uneasy, and they didn't want to stick around and kind of cloud the issue. John Adams left because he felt like Jefferson deserved the day. He took a lot of flack for that, even back in the day, about, hey, you weren't man enough to stay and kind of transfer the power. His son, John Quincy, got the same flack when he didn't transfer the power over to Andrew Jackson, but it ended up being probably a good idea since Andrew Jackson's followers were not exactly the cream of the crop when it came to political mindsets or even educational backgrounds, because they trashed the White House in celebration. It's the same thing that happens whenever a national championship occurs or somebody wins the World Series and people go out and burn their own cities. It's kind of counterproductive to the whole celebratory mood. But that's what happened during Jackson's inaugural. Is the rule of King Mob, as it was known. They showed up and kind of trashed the White House, so much so that Jackson couldn't stay there the first night. He actually had to escape through a window and go stay down the street at a hotel. So again, this is not the first time that these guys have not transitioned smoothly. And the last time it happened, Andrew Johnson, the 17th president, who took over after Lincoln's assassination, he had just come off of being impeached. Now, remember, impeached means that you were brought up on charges formally. That does not mean that you were convicted. He came 1 vote away from being convicted. And basically what he was charged with was going against a act of Congress that Congress kind of put in to spite him. And when he violated that, they brought him up on charges. It was really just a vindictive move by a Congress that didn't like Andrew Johnson. They wanted to get rid of him. They came very close to making him the first president and only president to be convicted. We've never had a president convicted of an impeachable offense. Now, keep in mind, we now have 3 impeached presidents in American history, and one of those 3 has been impeached twice. We'll get to that here in a second. Johnson, of course, survives the impeachment. He survives the conviction by that one vote. But Ulysses S. Grant doesn't want him at his inauguration. He hates Johnson so much. He basically says, I'm not sharing a carriage with that guy down to the Capitol building. Johnson is so disrespected by this that he just doesn't go to the inauguration. And that is the last time it happened. And it happened in 1869. So you're talking about over 150 years since that event. Every president since who is transitioning to the next person has been at that person's inauguration until today. So is it kind of a spiteful move? Yes. But at the same time, if you ask Joe Biden, hey, are you upset that Donald Trump is not sitting on the stage? If you got Joe Biden to be honest about it, he'd probably say, I'm kind of glad the guy's not there. There is a representative of the current executive branch. I shouldn't say current because it's no longer current, of the previous executive branch. Mike Pence did go, the sitting vice president, 20 minutes ago, up until 20 minutes ago, he did attend with his wife. They did sit there. They did transfer the power very, consequentially for him. He did not see off the president of the United States. He said goodbye to Trump yesterday, but he did not go to the ceremony today where Trump left the White House at about 8 a.m., went by Marine One, which is their helicopter, out to Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland to then be seen off on Air Force One, which is the last time he will ride in Air Force One, since that's the code of the president, the sitting president's plane. Once he got off in Florida, he was no longer president of the United States. He was no longer on Air Force One. Anytime he rides on any sort of governmental plane from this point on, it will not be Air Force One. So again, he is no longer the president as of about 20 minutes ago. It is now Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris is the new vice president. She took her oath of office at roughly 11:50, and then Biden at roughly 11:55. The official constitutional transition of power happens at noon. So Joe Biden's been president for roughly 18 minutes now. What does that mean? It just means a transfer of power. It just means that now Joe Biden is now in charge of the executive branch. The first act he's going to do is to counter a number of Trump's actions, especially executive orders that he put in place, and to instill and restore a number of actions that Barack Obama, the previous Democratic president, had put in place. This is standard operating procedure. The media will make it seem like, oh, what a spiteful guy he is to go against everything Trump just did. This is what they always do. It's just they get more play now in the media because the media is 24-hour news cycle. They need something to fill the gaps, if you will. Trump very controversially pardoned a bunch of people on the way out of office. They made a big deal about that. Every president issues a bunch of pardons at the very end of their presidency. We'll talk about pardon power and whether or not that's maybe too much power to put in the hands of one person, especially since it's the last day. I mean, yesterday he pardoned 143 people. One of the most notable ones was Lil Wayne. So he pardoned a very famous rapper. He also pardoned a number of people that were somewhat consequential. He's pardoned a number of very consequential people. Probably the most controversial is he issued a presidential pardon for his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, his father, who was in jail for racketeering and tax evasion and all kinds of things. He was put there. He was prosecuted by Chris Christie, who is the former governor of New Jersey, who basically came to prominence politically because of that prosecution of Kushner, and put him behind bars for quite some time. Well, he was relieved of that, by the president, and a lot of people raised the question, should he be pardoning somebody that's connected to his family? Now, he did not pardon anybody within his family, which is what a lot of people thought he was going to do, is kind of a preemptive pardon to his sons and his daughter and his son-in-law. He didn't do that. So now if they had violated any sort of government statute or law, they can be prosecuted by the incoming administration and the Justice Department. We'll see what happens with that. He did not pardon himself, which was questioned by legal scholars across the board. Can a president pardon himself? Most legal scholars said no. There were a few legal scholars that said, I hope he does it so we can settle it for future generations, that is not how it works. But he did not do that. He did issue a pardon right before he left. Apparently his 144th, right before he left, he issued a pardon for the husband of a Fox News personality, Judge Jeanine Pirro. Her husband was basically facing charges of tax evasion and other things. He pardoned him, which a lot of people thought was extremely controversial because one of his biggest supporters on Fox News is Judge Jeanine Pirro. So if nothing else, it does pay to have people in high places, to be connected to people in high places, because you get some benefits. But there are going to be questions raised about this. This is normal. This happens every single time somebody leaves the presidency. Needless to say, they're still going through the inauguration right now, all the festivities and everything, but the main part is done. They did, swear him in to the presidency, and Kamala Harris as the new vice president. Symbolically, Kamala Harris wore purple, which is associated with a lot of African American causes, and for that matter, a lot of Southeast Asian causes, considering she does have some Indian heritage, India as in India, the country. So she was very careful about her color scheme that she chose to walk out. There were a number of people that were surprised, because typically they come out in like blue or red or, black, but with red, white, and blue kind of accessories. She said, no, I'm going to kind of switch it up, and wearing purple was different. It's a deviation, and making your mark as the first lady, I don't want to say first lady, sorry, the first female vice president to take office. She will always be pictured as in that color scheme and using that as kind of a symbol. She swore in on 2 Bibles. And nothing constitutionally says you have to use a Bible. This is just using the precedent that George Washington set. When he became the first president, nothing constitutionally says you have to use a Bible. She used 2. One of them was a kind of family heirloom that was from a neighbor, one of the neighbors that she said was a mentor to her growing up. This woman that she kind of tried to emulate as a young woman, she inherited this woman's Bible, and she used that one, as well as the personal Bible of Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall was the first African American to ever serve on the Supreme Court. So there was a symbolic family heirloom and a government kind of prop, if you will, or symbol that she used to swear in on. Joe Biden used the same Bible that he used twice to be sworn into vice president, his family Bible, which apparently has been in the family since 1893. It's 5 inches thick. It's a Bible that was inherited through his Catholic upbringing. So again, they utilize that kind of symbology. It's not like they're the first ones to do that. Obama, for both of his, he swore in on Abraham Lincoln's personal Bible the first time, and on Martin Luther King Jr.'s Bible the second time. So again, it's not like people don't do that. George W. Bush, Bush 43, swore in on his family Bible both times. So you have kind of this, personal symbols and governmental symbols happening all throughout the day. They will not have the inaugural parade. They will not have the inaugural balls, which are kind of nerdy proms. They will not do any of that stuff because of COVID. Now, some of that also is because of security concerns from what happened on January 6th. But for the most part, there are more national servicemen in Washington, D.C. right now than there are people at the inauguration. That was planned that way because they're trying to, A, because of COVID, be a little bit more controlled and careful, and B, because they're trying to make sure that things are kind of on the up and up and safe for everybody. There are flags draped all across the Capitol right now. There are 400,000 flags that were placed on the mall, which is the grassy area between the Capitol building and the monuments. The reason they did that is 400,000 people. We're approaching, sadly, 400,000 people that have died because of COVID inside the United States. So it's kind of a symbolic, they were here in spirit type mentality at the inauguration. Since people cannot be there in person, the Biden administration basically decided that that's the symbol that they were going to utilize. And of course, part of his inaugural address, I would assume, is going to be his plan of attack on this global pandemic that we're going through right now, and how he's going to handle the vaccine distribution, as well as the other problems that go along with it. Bottom line is, we are witnessing the transition of the government from the Trump administration to the Biden administration. And today is Biden's first day. He starts running now. If you remember from your history classes, it's a big deal to get a jump start within your first 100 days. So we'll see what he does within his first 100 days. Is he going to be an active president? Is he going to be more passive? Is he going to have broad dreams and visions, or is he going to be a little bit more focused in scope? We will find out over the next coming weeks how that happens. Now, in regards to Trump, Trump is still under impeachment. He is still indicted for his actions on January 6th. That is what the impeachment charge was. He can still be convicted, even though he's no longer president of the United States. They're going to hold a trial in the Senate at some point over whether or not he needs to be held accountable for what happened on January 6th. We'll see what happens. They would still need 2/3 of the Senate to vote for conviction. If he's convicted, obviously he's no longer president, so that doesn't matter too much, but he would lose his Secret Service protection. He would lose his pension, which is his retirement fund, and he would lose, and this is the most important thing, his ability to run for political office ever again. That is kind of what a lot of the Democrats are trying to push for, because they want to make sure he no longer is on the ballot. There's a number of Republicans that want to make sure that that doesn't happen too, because starting right now, the election in 2024 has just begun. And it's kind of already started anyway, but now the Democrats are going to decide, are we unifying behind Biden and his message because he'll run again in 2024? Or are we thinking Biden's only a one-term president and we're going to push for maybe Harris to run in 2024 because of Biden's age, or maybe go a different direction? The Republicans are doing the exact same thing. Who's going to run against this guy in 2024? Are we going to be the party of Trump, or are we going to turn to a new version of the party? And Marty, you're correct in posting AOC. Like, are the Democrats going to go a little bit more liberal? Because no offense to Bernie Sanders, he's awfully old as well. If the Democrats want to go younger, they may choose to go and back somebody like an AOC or somebody else within the Democratic ranks. Now, AOC is awfully young. I believe she'll be 35 in 2024, so she would be eligible to run for the presidency, but it's very rare to get somebody in the House to actually run successfully for the president. It rarely happens. Not to say it doesn't, but it rarely happens. Usually it's a governor. It's a senator, like Biden was a senator before becoming president, as was, for that matter, Obama. George W. Bush, of course, was the governor. What about Andrew Yang? Yang is currently thinking about, and I don't know if he's officially declared yet, but he is thinking about running for the mayor of New York. I think he's trying to maybe start a little smaller and gain a little bit of traction that way. So he is currently floating the idea, and I don't think he's officially done anything yet, but he will probably run for the mayor of New York. And again, if you have any questions over anything that's happened up until this point, you can certainly ask them through the chat. I appreciate Marty doing that. You can unmute your mic and ask a question, but I don't want to dominate too much of your time, because we are coming up on 12:30, and you will have a 10-minute time frame with which to transition over to your 6th bell class. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Feel free to stay back. If you have questions about your grades, same deal, you can. But otherwise, you are free to go. Please don't forget to do your assignments before next week's Zoom meeting. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy, folks.